Amid all the geopolitical tensions, genocides and drone attacks, one word come to our mind: UN. And so many people ask this question that what UN is doing, where is UN? Amidst all this backdrop, we are going to discuss United Nations Day 2024. Hello and welcome to the special session of Drishti IAS. I am Ritu and today's session is about United Nations Day 2024, and this session is important for your GS2 perspective. Moving towards the points of discussion part. So, as you already know that this particular United Nations is of General Studies 2 and International Relation, and it has this sub-theme: important international institutions, agencies and fora and their structure and mandate. So this is within the syllabus. Now we are going to discuss the points of discussion part. So first of all, we are going to discuss about that UN Day, when the UN Day is going to be celebrated. Then we are going to discuss about the history of UN, about UN. We'll have a brief introduction about the UN, and then we are going to discuss about UN contribution to the world, challenges ahead of the UN. Then we are going to discuss that UN needs reform or not, and if it's needed, why it's needed. Then we are going to discuss about that role of India at United Nations, and then we'll discuss briefly UPSC questions and practice question for prelims. Before that, you have to like, share and subscribe to this TIS channel. Moving towards the discussion part. So first of all, we should note that when the United Nations Day is being observed. So United Nations Day is celebrated every year on 24th of October. And this day marks the anniversary when the UN Charter entered into force in 1945. So in 1945, UN Charter entered into the force, and that's why United Nations Day is celebrated on the 24th of October. And this is what you can say that 24th October 1945 is also marked as that United Nations was officially established. So it also marks the establishment of the United Nations, official establishment of the United Nations. And in 1971, the organization adopted UN Resolution 2782 and declared that the United Nations Day ought to be an international observance. So this event is very much important, that in 1945 UN got officially established, and in 1971 United Nations resolution number 2782 adopted, and that day marked as an international observation for the United Nations Day. So we'll come to the United Nations. Will have a brief introduction about the United Nations. So what is United Nations? So United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945. We already had discussed that 24th October 1945 is official establishment day for the United Nations, and currently it is made up of 193 member states, and UN and its work are guided by the purpose and principle contained in its founding charter. So they are guided by its founding charter, and all UN member states are the members of the General Assembly. States are admitted to membership by a decision of the General Assembly. So different countries, with time, different countries have become part of United Nations. So it is the General Assembly who decides that which of the countries or who will be the part of the United Nations. So here will come regarding the history of the UN Foundation. So what happened that in 1899, International Peace Conference was held at The Hague to elaborate instrument for settling crisis peacefully, preventing wars and codifying rules of warfare. Because these are the times when so many geopolitical tensions are also going, and right now also in contemporary time also we can see that so many geopolitical tensions are going. We can see the Israel-Palestine war now. Lebanon is also under the ambit of such kind of the war. Iran and Israel war. Then we can see the Russia-Ukraine war, indirect war between different nations. So that's why into such circumstances, into such environment, it's very important to have a discussion on the organization like UN, that how UN has the history of peacefully resolving conflicts. So that's why it's very important to have this discussion. And it adopted Convention for the Pacific Settlement of International Disputes and established the Permanent Court of Arbitration, which began to work in 1902. And before United Nations, the forerunner organization was the League of Nations, which was established amid the World War situation, because so many countries of the world were fighting against each other, they are lobbying against each other. So in response to that, League of Nations was created. And after that, when League of Nations was not working properly, we have this United Nations, and it was established in 1919 under the Treaty of Versailles to promote international cooperation and to achieve peace and security. Now we'll come to the that from where the name United Nations got existence. So United Nations name has been coined by United States President. At that time, the president was Franklin D. Roosevelt, and there was a document which called the Declaration by the United Nations was signed in the 1942 by 26 nations, and they had placed that government to continue fighting together against the Axis power. The capital of this country, in the comment section you have to tell me that these cities are capital of which countries. So currently you have to comment down. So they were the Axis powers and bound them against making a separate peace. So this is the thing. United Nations Conference on International Organization 1945, and this conference was held into the San Francisco, USA, and was attended by the representative of 50 countries and signed the United Nations Charter. The UN Charter of 1945 is a foundational treaty of the United Nations as an intergovernmental organization. So what we can see that presently it has 193 members, but initial the members were very limited because so many countries are the colonies of different countries. So they were not independent nation. When many countries got their independence and they have their independent existence, and slowly, gradually they attached to the United Nations and they became member of the United Nations. So here we'll come to the different organs of the United Nations. We have International Court of Justice, we have General Assembly, we have Economic and Social Council, we have Trusteeship Councils, we have Security Councils, and we have UN Secretariat. And here briefly they had discussed the work also, legal disputes, advisory opinions, and international law. General Assembly, this is very much important because in news you often hear the UNGA has decided this thing, and UNSC. So this all member states annual sessions, resolution, Economic and Social Council, 54 member states social issues and economic development. Then we have Trusteeship Council, trust territories, administering powers, Security Council, 5 permanent members, 10 non-permanent members, and peacekeeping missions. Then we have this UN Secretariat, Secretary General, we have this administrative task and UN operations. So these are the organs of the United Nations. Now we'll come to the next one. Next one is about that different institutions who are part and who are coming in the ambit of the United Nations. So everybody knows about the WHO, then we have FAO for the food security, then we have WHO for the public health and health policies, and you can see that how much WHO were important in the pandemic period. Then we have World Bank Group, which provide financial assistance to the needy countries. Then we have IMF. IMF also suggests various countries regarding their monetary policies and scheme, and it also provides a fund to the different countries. Then we have International Labour Organization. It sets the labor standards and it also talks about the worker rights. Then we have UNESCO, which talks about the children education, science and cultures and different things. Then we have ICAO, which is about the aviation safety, aviation security. Then we have IMO, which talks about and which advocates the maritime safety and maritime security. So this is the specialized agency which are attached to the United Nations, and we can see their names into different fields and their contribution. Now we'll come to the next one. Next one is about that what is UN contribution to the world. So the first thing is the peace and security, because the United Nations was formed when various countries were still fighting with each other. There was a era of the Cold War. So in this backdrop, the existence of United Nations is very much important. So United Nations has a great contribution in bringing the peace and security throughout the world. So maintaining peace and security by sending peacekeeping and observer mission to the world's trouble spots over the past 6 decades, and then preventing nuclear proliferation. So for over 5 decades, International Atomic Energy Agency has served as the world's nuclear inspector, and with this organization, they aim and they safeguard the nuclear material which is used only for peaceful purposes. To date, the agency has safeguards agreements with more than 180 states. Then we have this thing which is supporting disarmaments. UN treaties are the legal backbone for the disarmament efforts. Then we have another contribution, preventing genocides. So the United Nations brought about the first ever treaty to combat genocide acts and committed with the intent to destroy a national, ethnical and racial and religious group. So we have this genocide acts, and in 1948 Genocide Convention has been ratified by 146 states, which commits to prevent and punish actions of genocides in war and in peacetime, because in Europe we can see that there was a large number of genocides happen. So that's why such kind of things and such kind of the acts are very much important. Then Uniting for Peace Resolution, United Nations General Assembly Resolution 377B is known as the Uniting for Peace Resolution, which was adopted in 1950. The Uniting for Peace Resolution was initiated by the United States in October 1950 as a means of circumventing further Soviet vetoes during the course of Korean War. So with this peace resolution, they try to prevent one country's action and atrocities of one country to another country. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the economic development. So they had promoted development through the Millennium Development Goals, and since 2000 they are actively participating and they are actively advocating such kind of goals. Then they had also a greater role in alleviating rural poverty, and for this we have this one organization, and we have this one fund also, International Fund for Agricultural Development, and this fund provides low interest rates loans grants to very poor rural people. So here there are two criteria, one should be the rural and the one should be the poor. And promoting women's well-being, UN has a separate what you can say agency which is called as UN Women, and this organization is dedicated to gender equality and empowerment of the women, as the name suggests. Then we have another thing which is about the fighting hunger. So Food and Agricultural Organization, in short FAO, leads to the global efforts to defeat hunger. And then we have commitment in support of the children. For this we have UNICEF, and you can see the contribution of UNICEF in terms of the children education, in terms of their overall holistic development. Now we'll come to the social development. So preserving historic, cultural and architectural and natural sites. So with the help of UNESCO, it has helped around 137 countries to protect their ancient cultural and heritage. Then we have this taking the lead on global issues. So the first United Nations Conference on Environment, Stockholm 1972, has alerted various nations around the world that this is the time that we need to think on the various developmental thing which can prevent for the future generation, and we need to be very careful regarding the climate change and deteriorating condition of the earth. Then there was first World Conference on Women, Mexico City, put women's right, equality and progress on the global agenda. Other landmark events include the first International Conference on Human Rights, Tehran 1968, first World Population Conference, Bucharest, and the first World Climate Conference, Geneva 1979. So many firsts are attached with the United Nations. It shows that United Nations was not actively working in one direction. It has also taken care of the women development. It has also taken care of the environment. It has also taken care of the child safety. So So many conferences, so many seminars have been organized by United Nations in order to protect the people's life, in order to have a peaceful world. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the human rights. So United Nations Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration for Human Rights in 1948, and it has helped to enact dozens of legally binding agreements on political, civil and economic and cultural rights. Then we have fostering democracy. The UN promotes the strengthening the democracy institution and practices around the world. So it has also advocated about the free and fair elections. Then ending apartheid in South Africa. The main credit goes to the United Nations. And then promoting women rights. So as we already had discussed that we had conferences. So there was 1979 UN Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, ratified by 189 countries. So we can see that how UN has actively worked for the human rights. It has advocated for the free and fair election. It has advocated for ending apartheid in countries like South Africa. It has done various conferences for the women rights, gender equality, eliminating all forms of discrimination. So this is about the human rights. Now we'll come to the environment. So UN has also actively worked in the environmental sector. Climate change is a global problem that demands a global solution, and UN Framework Convention on Climate Change provides foundation for the UN members to negotiate agreements to reduce emissions that contribute to the climate change and help countries adapt to its effects. So it has provided a common ground where several countries can come and they can negotiate regarding their emissions targets. Then we have this protection of the ozone layer, because so much of the damage caused to the ozone. Then we have this banning toxic chemicals. So Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants 2001 seeks to get rid of the world some of the most dangerous chemical ever created, and then stability and order in the world's ocean. So the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, which has gained nearly universal acceptance, provides the legal framework for all activities in the oceans and seas. So what we can see that in terms of climate changes, it has combined overall the country, that you have come to a platform and you have to negotiate, you have to point out each other's mistake, and there should be a common ground to combat climate change. Then they had also worked in the terms of the ozone layer, because ozone protects us from the ultraviolet rays. And then it has also prevented humanity from the toxic chemical, and then it has actively worked for the ocean's life and ocean's health. Now we'll come to the next one, which is about the multifaceted challenges of the United Nations. So what we can see that there are so many challenges ahead of the United Nations. The first challenge come in terms of the climate change, and balancing economic development with environmental sustainability remains a complex task, because so many countries comes on a singular platform, but still it has become very difficult that the balance could be found out between the countries. Then conflict resolution and peacekeeping, as you already know that there is a Israel-Hamas conflict, there is a Russia-Ukraine war, and indirect war between various countries. In this situation, the biggest question goes against the UN, that why UN is not actively working into such kind of the things happening in the Gaza area. So many innocent people are killed into different parts of the world. Then why UN is not taking action to this? So this has also become a complex question against the UN. Then we have pandemics and global health. So in pandemic also we can see that United Nations was active, but so many organizations and so many countries had asked, and so many humanitarian experts have raised question on the existence of UN, because at that time world was suffering, and so many people from the world were suffering from the vaccine deficiency, medical supplies, oxygen deficiency. In that situation, there was a complex question against the UN. Then humanitarian rights and humanitarian crisis, migration and refugees and transnational threats, nuclear proliferation and arms control. We can see that there are different kind of warfare techniques are used in terms of non-kinetic, cyber crime, cyber warfare, malware. So all these, with the help of all these things, what we can see that so many perpetrators are trying to destroy the infrastructure of any country. They are killing the innocent people. So many children are starving, their schools are banned. And into such situation, these are the very complex issues which is ahead of the UN, that how to solve out the issues, how to make a peaceful ground for the people so that world can live peacefully. Now we'll come to the contribution of the need for the UN reform. So Security and Council reform, expansion of membership. There is a call for the increasing the number of permanent and non-permanent members to better represent the current geopolitical landscape. There is also a question of the veto power, that why veto power was limited to the just 5 people. Then peacekeeping, operation effectiveness and accountability. So enhancing the efficiency and accountability of peacekeeping missions to address criticism regarding their performance in conflict zones. So many peacekeeping missions are carried out in different parts of the world. But when we see that innocent people are killed, we found the inactiveness of such kind of the missions. Then we have this funding and resource, because people are dying in hunger, starvation because of the conflict, because they are taking refuge, they are becoming refugee to the other country. In such situation, there is a huge case of hunger and poverty. Human rights mechanism, because so many innocent people are killed. So the UN had to also work into this direction, that how to see the human rights mechanism. Then here we have this addressing violations. So many countries are violating the UN resolutions and UN charters, UN rules. In such situation, it is a very challenging for the UN that how to address such kind of the cases. Then we have developmental agenda, sustainable development goals. So what we can see that we have developmental goals, sustainable development goals, but many countries are not fulfilling their target. So this is also a very crucial question. Then global inequality. So we have very inequality in terms of economic, in terms of genders, and we can see that rich countries are getting richer, poor countries are getting poor. So this is also a very what you can say unique scenario in front of the UN. Then institutional efficiency and transparency. So many countries, authorities are not satisfied with the UN mechanism, and they said that there is no transparency in the UN mechanism and UN authorities. So there is a big question on its transparency also. So UN had to reform all these kind of the gray areas. Now we'll come to the next one, that role of India at the United Nations. Founding member, India is a founding member of the United Nations and having joined on 30th October 1945. And India has always advocated for the reforms, because India has asked that there should be the permanent membership into this direction. Then we have this, India has also advocated around the peacekeeping contribution, and India has sent its largest contributors to the 22 lakhs personnel to various mission as a peacekeeping mission. So India has a largest contributor to the UN peacekeeping mission. Then we have another reforms, voice for the developing world. Currently India has advocated and India has become voices of the global south. Then promotion of disarmament, India has always advocated about the nuclear disarmament, and it has carried out treaties on non-proliferation and nuclear weapons, support for the multilateralism. So we can see that India had started various dialogues, and you can say trade, health and security. So India always supported that there should be, every country should come to a platform and they should have a dialogue in terms of the trade, health and security. Then here we can have humanitarian assistance. India has provided humanitarian assistance, especially in the COVID times, in terms of the vaccine, in terms of the medical supplies. And then sustainable development, India has currently taken the target of net zero emissions. and then we can see the cultural diplomacy. So India has a greater contribution into the cultural diplomacy, especially it has started the initiative of International Yoga Day, and so many Indian culture has been spread out, and India always try to advocate different kind of culture, and there should be what you can say amalgamation of different culture. Now we'll come to the question part. So this is the prelims question which has been already asked in 2022 with reference to the United Nations Credentials Committee. Consider the following statement. It is a committee set up by the United Nations Security Council and works under its supervision. It traditionally meets in March, June and September every year. It accesses the credential of all UN members before submitting a report to the General Assembly for approval. Which of the statement given above are correct? 3 only, 1 and 3, 2 and 3, 1 and 2 only. So you have to answer this. Then we have practice question. Who coined the name United Nations? Winston Churchill, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman and Woodrow Wilson. So this is very easy one. You have to answer this in the comment section. I hope you like this session. If you have queries related to the session, kindly ask in the comment section. Thank you. Have a nice day.
For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.